our centerpiece this week, 3 and Out. Our interim title is good for the UFC. You can see this on the FullMountMMA.com. You can check my Twitter at bcoyle11, at SS Sports Talk has this as well, and at the Full Mount. The way I look at it is interim titles can work if the UFC puts the effort into making them work. Like if they book the title to mean something, it's going to mean something. When it comes to Cormier, I get where you're coming from because of the fact he just defended the belt in October. And this was like champions in my mind, the optimal amount of time to defend a belt twice in a year.
Yeah, I think that's depending on what the fight is. I mean, I think, yeah, depending on how the fight goes. You know, I mean, like Robbie Lawler, that one fight he had, you know, the fight of the year candidate there. Maybe you need a little bit more time after a fight like that. But, yeah, I think twice a year is good.
And once a year, if you have an injury, that's fine. If the title is being held up in the division, say, I don't know, like we mentioned, 145 pounds at featherweight, I have no problem with an interim title.
Nope.
Whatsoever.
Not
Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo, I am stoked for that fight at UFC 200. Yep. And I think it should be for a title.
Yeah, especially when you don't know if the champion's going to come back to the weight.
Mm-hmm. So this is a weird thing with Jones because he was stripped of the title for the way he acted outside of the octagon and all of these kinds of stuff with John Jones, and he should be punished for it. You're exactly right. The problem is he's been so damn good. It's such a hard sell if he's not like the whole point of this fight is Cormier, as much as he will want to say it, the UFC will want to say it, he's not the top light heavyweight in the division right now, even though he's a champion.
Well, then strip him of the belt. Let this be the belt for the title, and then give Cormier the match when he returns. I just don't understand an interim. What is an interim? I don't get it.
Yeah,
that takes away from your champion, especially when he's only out 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's a promotional crutch. It's what it is.
No, exactly. It's to sell pay-per-views and to keep people wanting to buy the pay-per-view because now John Jones is fighting for a title.
Mm-hmm. It's
against somebody who doesn't deserve a shot at the title, by the way.
John Jones doesn't deserve a shot at the title?
No. OSP.
Oh, OSP?
I mean, you think he deserves to be in a title picture?
Oh, no, not at all. But I'd really like to find out if this was one of the conditions of Jones taking this fight, because I was surprised he took a fight because he doesn't do that, and he screwed the UFC over before by doing that. But is it really screwing over the promotion if you're the one could suffer all of the risk by losing on a short notice fight? And it gives a whole sort of argument to what's more important. Like, what are people tuning into the UFC for? Is it the fighters or is it the promotion? And it's the fighters for me.
Yeah, it is. It is the fighters.
But
the fighters make the promotion. I mean, that's a given.
That just seems the way it works. OSP does he was a cool up and coming prospect. He had the wins, the win taken out of his sails, so to speak, with that loss to Glover Teixeira. But I just it's such a weird concept because only one guy in this fight would potentially deserve the interim belt. I don't get it.
Yeah, you got me. I mean, I just don't understand why. They were going back and forth on this whole thing with the 145. Was it going to be a title? Or were they going to do an interim title? We were talking about it on our other podcast, and then this one just okay, he's hurt, interim title. It just some of the stuff just doesn't make sense how it happens.
Yeah, it's because how meaningful is the actual belt to anybody else? Like to Jones, it gives him the belt again. But
then just strip Cormier of the belt then and give him the title, and Cormier gets shot when he comes back. I mean, I just think to say, okay, he's in there now. You're going to have the press conference, and they're both going to have belts, and then you're going to have the war of words that we've already seen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what started this whole thing in a way, because he showed up with his belted thing. So now we're going to go through that whole thing again. To me, it's really watering it down.
Yeah, that's the question. Does it take away an interim belt? Does it take away from the champion, the current champion? Does it take away from the meaning of the belts? If Conor McGregor came out and said all this stuff, like, I am my own belt, the belt means nothing to Nate Diaz. And this is a UFC title that guys have talked about working their whole lives for, to become the best in their division, the best in their sport, to win the title. And then the biggest draw in the UFC goes, screw it. I just like big fights. If you fight me, it's a belt. Nate Diaz talks about, I don't want a belt. I want the biggest fight possible so I can make the most money. So does an interim title mean anything?
Well, not when your belts don't mean anything. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the
and
biggest,
now you're watering it down even more by saying, look, you want to make your belt mean something? Then say, look, Cormier, you got hurt. You're stripped of the belt. This is for the, for the heavyweight title. And then go from there. I mean, just quit this interim stuff. You already got fighters saying they don't care about belts. So that's what your product is saying. And now you're watering it down even more by saying, let's just throw an interim title on everything.